This leader cares about his dog, but not his people.
Well, that was it is.
It's gonna get worse before it gets better.
You think?
Much.
Man of nigarettes. Which means in about 10 minutes I'm gonna kill someone. You all right, Sam?
What's happened here is Sam has just had to fire 80% of his staff. 80%. That is huge. We'll see Sam in some of this emotional distress, and he's concerned. He says, wow, Sam, are you all right? Let's see Sam's response.
My dog is dying.
What? You just fired 80% of your team and your dog is dying? Not saying the dog's not important, but kind of in the hierarchy of things, wouldn't people in their employment and their well-being be more important? And you're gonna see Will has a similar perspective. Watch his nonverbal response.
I'm sorry.
She's got a phone with the vet. Tumor on her liver. I'm spending like $1,000 a day already just trying to keep her alive. Yeah.
Well, they're all gone.
Poor Will. He just doesn't know what to do because it's so disconnected from what's happening in the current context. Sam is more concerned about his dog than the well-being of his team. Will sees that. He's like, okay, I guess, I'm sorry. And so now Sam is going to move from this space to addressing his team, and we're going to see some of that priority that the people he let go aren't really that important. Watch how this plays out.
So,
How many do we have left?
about 33.
Well, I'll make sure they're all out there. I've got to say something.
In this moment, we would expect a leader to come in and do a few things. We would expect them to acknowledge what just happened. 80% of the staff got sent home. This is devastating to a team. So we would expect them to acknowledge the facts of what happened and the emotion of what happened. You can imagine that that is all hard for you today. Some type of emotional validation, some reassurance, things like that. And then it would be that reassurance piece that we're going to make it through this together, a rallying and a support, a camaraderie. Let's come together and help one another out. And then a casting of the vision to say, here's where we are going from here. We would look to see those 4 components: acknowledge the facts, validate the emotion, reassure, and then cast a vision going forward. Let's see if those 4 things come up as Sam addresses his team.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, why are we clapping? Maybe I missed something, but I thought 80% of our team just got fired. Why does this feel like a celebration? There's something that is disjointed, but in Sam's perspective, he is driving a particular culture, a particular environment that aligns with applause. It's just not a healthy one. There's no acknowledgement of the emotional devastation that happened as 80% of the team was let go.
You're all still here for a reason. 80% of this floor was just sent home forever. We spent the last hour saying our goodbyes. They were good people and they were good at their jobs, but you were better.
Okay, so he's acknowledging the reality of what happened. You know, we said our goodbyes, they're gone forever. But he skips right over this core piece here, the emotional validation, to just say, hey, you're here because you were better. And he's going to go on to focus in on that kind of superiority mindset where it is a bit of a survival of the fittest. How do you get yourself up to the next rank and things like that? What ends up happening with this type of a leadership is it creates a toxic environment of competitiveness. Now, competitiveness is great if it's in a healthy collaborative context. But what Sam is creating here is unhealthy. We're gonna see this continue to play out.
Now they're gone. They're not to be thought of again.
Okay, so like, why don't we think of them ever again? Is it that they were just like a means to an end, then they were dead weight, and so let's get rid of them? If that's the case for that 80%, if I'm an employee here, what reassurance do I have that that's not going to be me next time? Maybe I'm just dead weight. Now, yes, everybody on the team needs to be doing their best to move forward. And if there is underperformance that is not meeting expectations, certainly that needs to be addressed. But in this environment here, it creates this lack of safety where everyone's looking over their shoulder wondering, am I next? There's no settled security here.
On every floor of this building and in every office from Hong Kong to London, same thing's happening. By the time we're done, 3 of every 7 guys who were standing between you and your boss's job are gone. That is your opportunity.
And that is Sam's mindset. The people above me are just obstacles to be overcome or eliminated. And it's a very unhealthy perspective to have because it creates this infighting where we're fighting against each other instead of moving forward to a common mission. We see this in a show like Band of Brothers when you compare Lieutenant Sobel and Lieutenant Winters. Sobel is just trying to advance and we see his whole team fighting against him and it is detrimental. Whereas Winters is focused on the mission, his men respect that and they're able to do incredible things. Here in a corporate context, what Sam is doing is not unlike what Sobel did. It's just focused on that individual growth and progression. What can I do to advance and move to the next stage? It destroys the psychological safety within the team. It ends up getting much lower results in the long run.
I've been with this place for 34 years. And I can tell you this is not the last time that you're going to go through this. But you are all survivors. And that is how this firm over 107 years has continued to grow stronger. So keep your heads high, get back to work, let's hear it.
The aspect of applauding survivors that you made it through this time, yes, I think that that is appropriate. So you get that 4th component, that vision casting. What happens though is that without that emotional component, that emotional validation, everything else rings kind of hollow. Sam hit 3 of the 4 components. He hit the facts of what happened, 80% just got let go. He skipped the important emotional component here. He went to the reassurance of what they were doing. Hey, you guys are the best. That's why you're here. Here's how we're going to keep moving forward. And then he cast that vision. This is how this company has operated for 100 years. This is how we're going to keep going. You guys are doing great. Let's keep it up. But without this vital piece of validating the emotion of what just happened, everything else rings kind of hollow. So watch for that in your work. Do you have opportunities to validate the emotion of what happened? This isn't about becoming super emotional or sappy or anything like that. The strongest leaders are those who are emotionally intelligent and can recognize emotions in themselves and others, can understand where these emotions are coming from, can label them, they can express them and give space for others to express them, and they can regulate them. They don't let emotions control them. So those 5 components of an emotionally intelligent leader actually give a leader incredible strength in their leadership. And what we're seeing here in Margin Call with Sam Rogers is that he's lacking that emotional component. If this continues in a team, it can create a very toxic environment, creates an unhealthy environment. How do we build the psychological safety that our teams need to be able to thrive in a healthy, high-performing environment? We as leaders build our emotional intelligence to be able to see those emotions, validate them, give reassurance, and then we can move on to those vital components of vision casting and calling our teams to action. If this video was helpful for you, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. If you have a TV or movie character that you would like me to analyze their leadership, drop that in the comments below. This series on Margin Call came from your recommendations in the comments, so please keep those coming. Until next time, take care.